welcome to Facility Resilience, where we discuss the latest trends in facility design, operation, and maintenance, in addition to operational resilience strategies for senior management. I'm your host, Jennifer Getz, and today I'm joined by Miranda Berner. Proud to be a U.S. manufacturer, Miranda is in charge of marketing and is part of the new product development team for Berner, the company that makes doors out of air, aka air curtains. Miranda has her lead AP in building design and construction and is a past board member of the Green Building Alliance. Miranda is the current chair of the Air Movement and Control Association North America Marketing Committee. Miranda, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And I'm excited to talk to you about facility first impressions. So to kick off our conversation, how would you describe a good first impression when you walk into a building? What are some of the elements that really stand out to building occupants and visitors?
Oh, I love walking into a building when it's cold out and you're like, oh, I got to get inside. I'm freezing. And you walk in and is it open? Does it feel open? Is it warm? Do you feel crowded? So if it's cold out and I am trying to get out of the cold and I walk into a store or a grocery store or a hotel or a hospital, I just want to feel warm when I walk in. I don't want to feel crowded. I want to feel welcome. Like, is it a warm environment, or does it feel visually, does it feel cold, or does it feel this is a good place to be? But also, as an air curtain manufacturer, I'm always looking up. Is there an air curtain over that doorway? Is this space going to be protected when the door opens and closes? If I'm in a hospital or a hotel, usually there's a lobby or a welcome area. So for me, having that air curtain over the door also tells me, like, this is going to be a good place to meet people, to hang out. It's going to be comfortable for me, for my elders, for anybody who's just trying to like take a break and get out of the elements and also meet up with people.
I would love to learn more about air curtains and how they can help make a building entrance more comfortable for occupants. How else do they benefit the indoor environment?
First, I should probably explain what an air curtain is. And what an air curtain is essentially it's a box with motors and blowers in it, and you mount it over an opening, such as a doorway. And what it does is it takes the air from above your head and it pulls it into the air curtain. And then it spins it around and shapes it and sends it out down towards the threshold of the opening, something we usually call the floor. And at the floor, the airstream splits. If it's been set up properly, the airstream will split at the floor. And basically it forms this barrier out of air that keeps cold air on one side and warm air on the other. But you and I can walk through it without paying to heat or air condition the outside. It also has other benefits of supplying chemical-free insect control. It's really hard for these little wings to fly through such a high velocity of air. It also helps to keep out vehicle exhaust, so carbon monoxide, especially in waiting areas or areas where people are being dropped off and picked up. It'll help keep out that vehicle exhaust from idling cars and delivery vehicles, and for hospitals like the ERs, the ambulance fumes.
That's so interesting.
Right? Like, that was an interesting call to get a long time ago when I was in inside sales, that hospital facility managers were calling because they had that issue of the fumes from the ambulances coming into the ER waiting room. And it's just cool to like that you have a product that you're thinking is mainly about energy conservation and protecting thermal comfort, and then find out, oh, but we're also going to make an ER safe and have the indoor air quality of that area be lovely. Yeah, now that smoking is only allowed in most places outside, there's usually like smoking areas, and sometimes that tobacco smoke will come in. So air curtains can help with that too. So those are the benefits of having a barrier out of air over that opening when your doors are opening and closing.
That's an interesting point you made about bugs, because I find that's one of the things that stand out to me if I'm in a restaurant, if I'm in a hotel, if you're in a welcoming space, you want to impress the senses. You want it to smell nice. You want it to look nice. I'd love to learn more about the insect control aspect, and then really some of the reactions you've gotten to this kind of product and how it's been able to make an environment more comfortable.
Okay, well, first let's start with the insects. So the insect one is pretty fun. And I got to go down years ago to the University of Florida, Gainesville, and work with their entomologists while they did some testing of mosquito and flies and air curtains. And that was super fun and so interesting because they're releasing like 100 of this type of mosquito and 100 of that type of mosquito. And you're in this little white room with them walking through a doorway. It was really cool. But also what's neat is like the FDA and the USDA have long recognized that air curtains help prevent flying insects from entering. So they recommend them for your shipping, receiving, your food processing and warehousing, but also on the back door of kitchen. Like most restaurant owners know about air curtains as they also call them fly fans for the back door. So in the kitchen, cafeteria, commercial kitchen environment, health departments are often across the country and up in Canada requiring air curtains as a chemical-free way against flying insects because we don't want to add more chemicals, especially in the air and near our food. But what's really cool is with the pandemic, and even prior to the pandemic, but with the pandemic, it really sped things up. A lot of places, the breweries, they do these wonderful garage door openings for their walls, right? And so they open them and you have that indoor-outdoor experience for eating and hanging out with people. And the health inspectors have been saying, hey, we got a flying insect problem. Let's get some air curtains over these garage doors. And then the other side of that is customers they're like, I don't want to be outside. It's cold or it's hot. I want to be inside, but you still want to have that door open to give everybody that awesome ambiance and feel. So to protect that conditioned air or that space, the air curtains are being used with those industrial garage doors as well. And we've been getting a lot of good feedback on that. And that's where owners were coming to our reps and to us saying, hey, can you help us out with this?
That's super interesting hearing about, because I imagine post-pandemic, a lot more restaurants and just businesses are making some of those accommodations where there's some more outside, even just beyond restaurants. You think of office buildings. People are more aware of how indoor air can spread. And even though there are a lot of these solutions out there to create the indoor air, the HVACs are being improved, air purification systems, having access to the outdoors is a huge plus for a lot of companies, which kind of brings me to a lot of companies are calling workers back into the office. So, hotel bookings are above pre-pandemic levels, and hospitals and healthcare systems are looking for more ways to ensure that staff and visitors are feeling safe in their environment. So what advice would you have for facility managers looking to ensure their buildings make a good first impression to both staff and to their visitors coming in?
Well, one, like on a personal level, I would love to see like some sort of, and office managers and staff just putting up signs that explain what they're doing ventilation wise. I think that would be so reassuring for me, for others to just know they're walking into a building where they immediately get that communication that the people behind the building care about them, whether it's their employees or if you're in a hotel, the hotel staff, the hotel management owners get it and they're communicating that. Retail, etc., restaurants, like that's just a personal thing. But of course, I'm going to then say, oh, you should have an air curtain. That makes a great first impression. The air curtain is actually what helps to maintain that first impression, right? So if you give visitors to your space this amazing impression, like you have beautiful fur and lovely floors and it's all chill, and maybe there's a coffee bar or it's a grocery store, have it set up a certain way, you put a lot of effort into that experience for your building occupants, whether it's employees, customers, visitors, patients, and then people get cold or hot because of this, whatever season it is, because people are coming in and out of your building, then that's where the air curtain can really help just maintain that first impression and continue to reinforce the experience that you have worked so hard to create for the building occupants by keeping it warm if it's winter or cold if it's protecting the air conditioning if it's summer.
I actually spoke with the facility manager who was sharing a little bit more about her role. And she mentioned to me, a lot of people don't realize what we're doing until something goes wrong. So unless you feel uncomfortable in a space, people don't realize how much facility managers do every day to make sure that the areas that they're in are safe, are comfortable, and that they function the way that they're supposed to. So one thing I am thinking about is it's a little different from that, but I wanted to talk to you a bit about climate change and how that might impact how important it is to have a device like an air curtain in a space. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about how facility managers create that comfortable space even when outdoor conditions are changing.
Well, if you have people coming in and out of your building, that door's opening and there's going to be some air exchange. And having that air curtain in place to provide that barrier to reduce that air exchange definitely helps. But on the sustainability piece, it's also doing energy conservation. So by not having all your heat go out into a winter or cold situation, your HVAC system is not being called upon to run as often. So you're not expending that energy to create more heat. So it reduces the number of times your HVAC system is asked to turn on and run. And then in the summer, conversely, especially as, I believe like the last couple of summers have been the hottest on record, and they expect this to continue. So air conditioning is going to be running longer for longer periods, like our seasons are getting longer. And then the outdoor temperatures are increasing a few degrees, in some cases more than a few degrees. But air curtain over that main entrance, again, you're not paying to air condition the outside. And thus you're also not, by losing all that cold air through the doors to the outside, you're not calling upon the air conditioning system to run. So you're reducing the loads. And energy for air conditioning can be really expensive. Anything that can be done to help keep it cool inside during these heat events, while conserving energy, is a positive. It's a positive financially, it's a positive for the environment, and then it's also positive for building occupants.
That's awesome. Well, Miranda, thank you so much for sharing this with me. Is there anything that we haven't talked about in regards to air curtains or a first impression when you walk into a facility that you would like to share?
So it's really cool about air curtains is that they contribute to the sustainability goals around energy conservation, around public health, around indoor air quality. They support that in-space experience that is something a facility manager and a building owner, a shop owner, restaurant, hotel manager is looking for, is to support that whole in-space experience. So that is all really good. But for these main entrances, what we did as a company is about 7 years ago, we were saying, why are our air curtains not being used over these beautiful hotel lobby entrances? And why are they not being used in these higher end places? What we realized is that our air curtains needed to be as beautiful as these spaces that they were going into. So we really went after talking to industrial designers, talking to architects and interior designers that are in charge of that experience at the front of the house. So we went after designing air curtains that architects and interior designers who are in charge of the experience of the space, not just the aesthetics, but the actual experience for hospitals, for hotels, for retail, for restaurants. We went and found people that's where they really spend a lot of their time professionally, is working on these spaces and on these experiences. And we got their input and feedback on designs. And so we have come out with what we call the architectural collection, and you have about 4 or 5 designs that you can choose from that are so cool and so beautiful. And we take pride in them being beautiful, high performance, quieter air curtains. And they're all AMCA certified, and they all qualify for the vestibule exception in ASHRAE 90.1 and in ASHRAE standard 189.1 in the International Energy Conservation Code and in the International Green Code. So yeah, we really just went out and talked to our customers and to our specifiers and said, what do you need? And what we heard was, we need you to make it easier for us to say yes. if you're a facilities person and you're asked to solve this solution at the main entrance of your beautiful lobby or hotel or restaurant, you need to come up with not only a solution that works, but something that also visually supports business model of your building. So that is something we're really excited about, that we've come out with that to make it easier for people to put air curtains over that main entrance.
That's really cool. Well, thank you, Miranda, so much for taking some time to speak with us about creating a nice first impression in a facility.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hopefully you and I will get to hang out one day in a lobby somewhere,
I
maybe
know.
Chicago in January or something.
That'll be so much fun.
Then you can say, oh, it's so comfortable in here. And I'll say, yes, there's an air curtain over that door.
Well, thank you so much, Miranda, again. And thank you to our audience for listening. And of course, special thank you to Berner Air Curtains for sponsoring this podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode of Facility Resilience.